is okay. Shoot me a comment on Facebook or YouTube if you can hear me. I just want to make sure my audio is working today. Let's make sure we've got audio today. I see a couple people coming into the class. And I just want to make sure. Okay, awesome. Kelsey says loud and clear. So I'm not going to be on camera today because I was sick last night and I wasn't feeling super great, but I know that I had people coming to this class today and I wanted to make sure that we didn't disappoint and that we were able to help you guys. So I'm here. I'm just not going to be on camera. I can see your comments on, if you are commenting on the Resilient Realtor Facebook page, I can see those comments and I will make sure to answer any questions that you have. Today, we are going to be going over some business planning, and actually, I'm going to be teaching this class again in regards to 2022 business planning. So I want you to think of today as more like quarter four, right? Because really, 2022 starts in quarter four. Like we could say that it's actually starting right now, and it even feels so weird to say 2022. So my name is Christy Jenks, and I am the instructor here, one of them at the Resilient Realtor Facebook group and page. And I'm a real estate agent, a Tom Ferry coach here in the Phoenix metro area, and I love giving back to my community. So I also have a team, and anytime, you know, anybody in the Phoenix metro area that's looking to join a team, you can go to joinbighelper.com. I guess my banner is kind of covering up my my URL, but joinbighelpergroup.com. If you know anybody that is thinking of joining the team and might be a good fit for our team here, we are growing and looking for good help. So all the resources can be found at bighelpertraining.com. There are a couple interactive resources that you will find today. And I want to make sure that you guys have access to them. And thank you to Kelsey. She's the one that puts together these resource pages and make sure that you guys have access to all of my goodies that I share each week as we teach classes here on the Resilient Realtor Facebook page. So let's go ahead and jump into our topic. Now, this class is a little bit different because obviously I'm not in person with you guys. So I want you to interact with me on Facebook so that I know I've got an audience here. So the first thing that I want us to do is I want us to think about 2021 so far. And let's list out, again, I want you to list them out on Facebook, right, as a comment so that I can see what's going on. Tell me what's working in your business right now. What are some of the things in 2021 that you feel have been going really well? And you could say, you know what, this is absolutely working and I'm going to keep doing that. So I'll go first and I'll wait for you guys to chime in. So some of the things that I know for our business that have been working is automation with our lead follow-up. We've got some pretty cool tools that we're using in regards to automating text messages and emails and just kind of that lead follow-up. So I would say that's absolutely working. For me, my schedule and time blocking, that's been really working for me as well. And it looks like Dan Button is trying to find my class. So I should probably tell him that I'm not there today and it's just live. Nobody has commented yet. What's working for you guys? Let's talk about what's not working, okay? So one of the things that, you know, hasn't been working for me is overscheduling, right? Somebody said social media. Is social media working or not working? And thank you for that person who commented. Do you think the market will be like it was in the 90s? That's a great question. In what regards? Paul Roberts, what do you specifically mean in the 90s? And Cora Hart wants social media is working. Good job, Cora. The reach with posts is helping it a lot. So Cora says social media is working for her in 2021, and she's getting a lot of reach, which means she's staying top of mind with her sphere and anybody else that she is in connection with. So Paul wants to know about the crash. You know what? That's a really great question. And one of the tools that I really like to use to help educate, and actually I'm gonna go off script, if you will, and I'm gonna run over to Instagram so that I can show you some tools that I really, really like. So I personally do not believe that the Phoenix metro area is heading for a crash. All of the data that we're tracking shows that we are stabilizing, meaning we're not seeing the prices continue to skyrocket like they have for the past, 8 months, where there's this feeding frenzy. We're not seeing that. We're seeing stabilization. We're still seeing multiple offers when homes are priced right. When homes are overpriced, we're seeing price corrections happen pretty quickly. So the demand here in the Phoenix metro area is so strong still that that's what's been fueling our prices. So I personally, with everything that we've been tracking, and my team and my husband, he's a numbers guru. We do not see any type of downward trend in pricing. As of right now, we're seeing stabilization. We're still seeing high demand and low interest rates. And we're still seeing a lot of people moving into this area. Now, it could be different for different types of markets. And so I wanted to take you guys over here real quick, because one of the tools that I really like, if you guys don't follow Keeping Current Matters, now they do have a subscription that you can subscribe to, but they also have a bunch of free stuff. Like this post right here is probably one of my favorite posts that I've seen them put out in a while. They put these together so that you can actually take this post and reuse it as part of your content. And they have a lot of stuff on here, Paul, when it comes to prices and the housing market, and if they think it's going to crash. And they've got people that are way smarter than me putting out that kind of stuff. So this is a tool that I use. As you know, in real estate, we always want to be the source of the source. And so this is one of the places that I point to. I also come back to our local MLS and just the data that we're seeing, and I present the data as I see it. So I'm not saying that it's completely out of the question. There's obviously a lot going on in the country and in the world that's completely out of our control. And as I see it right now, when just looking at the trends, I don't see a crash happening in Phoenix. And I also, make sure to stay up to date with the people that are, smarter than I am. And that's what I'm looking at. But here's my takeaway for you guys. Go to Keeping Current Matters, use their resources. What I do think that you guys do need to be planning on is, and I think we can all agree to this, that selling homes has been amazing in the past year, but it's also been very difficult and very different from, say, other previous up markets where we had, hundreds of homes to show. Now we had a handful of homes to show, right? There's a big difference. So in terms of what the market's doing, it's going to thin out the agents that don't know how to work and don't know how to manage their clients and are not strategic in their business. That I absolutely believe will happen. And that's part of why we need to make sure that we are planning our business. I wish that I was presentable today and I could be on camera so you could see how emphatic I am about this, but I kid you not, I run across agents all the time who, when I'm coaching them and we're talking about their business, they'll say, I don't know, I've never thought about it. And that's what scares me, is that a lot of agents don't think about their business. They just react to what's going around, right? To what's going on. They don't strategically plan for what's going to happen to their business. They're not planning their marketing. They're just basically being blown by the wind. Those agents, I believe, are going to be out of the business because it's very competitive and inventory is tight. There's a lot of agents in almost all of the markets that we work in. And that being said, you've got to plan. Don't just be reactive. Also, it's very exhausting to have a reactive business. So the first part of all of our planning is always going through and looking at what's working, because success leaves clues, guys. The reason that I'm taking time out of this short class to talk about what's working is because don't stop doing what's working. So many times agents, they have success and then they just stop doing what's working, and then they're like, oh yeah, I should do that again. And I've been guilty of it too, right? Because we get distracted by shiny new objects and we just kind of want to move forward. With no one working and paying rent, I can see the crash. Well, Paul, I don't have a crystal ball. I say prepare for the worst and hope for the best, right? If you've got strong skills and a strong business with multiple lead pillars, then you will be able to withstand any type of market. And that's actually what this class is about. It's about building multiple lead pillars and not being a one-legged table. So, also identifying what's not working, right? Going back and looking at the lead pillars that you're doing. If you've been spending, money on a certain lead source every single month and you can't track any business to it, stop that, right? That's not working. Don't do that again, right? So that's the first part of any business planning, is just really looking at what's working and what's not working. So what I'm going to share with you guys today is a practical example of how to put together your schedule and how to spend your time. Because in real estate, you need to know exactly what you want. Because if you don't know exactly what you want, you're not going to be able to backwards map yourself to get there. So that means you need to know how many transactions you want and buy the lead source. You can't just say, hey, I want to make $100,000 this year. Okay, how are we going to get there? Right? How many homes do you have to sell to, make 100,000? Is that net? Is that gross? What does that look like? How many of those are buyers? How many of those are sellers? Right? And of course, looking at your net income versus the gross, because we know we've got splits and fees and all of those things. And in order to sell that many homes, how many appointments do you need to go on? Right? How many buyer appointments? How many listing appointments? And then, of course, we need to put together a budget to make sure that we don't just sell a lot of homes, but that we actually bring home a lot of money. I've met so many agents in my lifetime that sell tons and tons of homes and they don't have any money because they're not managing their expenses. And so that's really, really important. So we're looking for profit after taxes to make sure that we've got a super healthy business. So I'm going to ask that you just follow along with me. And then after class, you can go into the resources and you can do this activity yourself. And, Dan, I think this would be a great thing for you to do, knowing what you've got going on in your career. Do this for your new market as well as for your current market. Now, if you haven't done something like this, then I say we just look at Q4. And then you can plan and map out for 2022. We're getting close enough that we're going to start doing 2022 business planning, because like I said in the beginning of class, 2022 actually starts now. So here is the interactive. This is part of the worksheet. You'll be able to come in here and you'll just come in here to file and make a copy, and you will be able to edit this yourself. So again, this takes the, hey, I want to make this much money selling real estate. and puts it into a practical, what does my week look like and how much effort and energy is it going to take? Because it's one thing to say, hey, I want to sell 20 homes. Okay, you want to sell 20 homes. Awesome. How are you going to do it? So there's basically, I want to talk about the difference between lead generation and marketing and lead follow-up, right? So a lot of times I'll sit down with an agent, I'll say, okay, why don't you tell me about, what are you going to do this month for lead generation? And they'll say, oh, I'm going to mail out some postcards and I'm going to do some social media. And I'm like, okay, hold on. That is marketing and it is not lead generation. A good portion of your business should be spent on lead generating activities, of course, lead follow-up, and there's that whole section of marketing. But marketing is out of your control. We don't know how someone's going to respond to marketing. They can respond really good, or there could be no response. Lead generation is what you are in control of and what your energy and effort does. So I put that up here as prospecting, right? Prospecting. What are we going to be doing for prospecting? Then below that, I put a section for follow-up. Follow-up will come from your prospecting and from your marketing. So we will absolutely count, like if you are going to be doing, some mailing campaigns and some Facebook ads or something like that, the time that you spend following up with those leads and trying to get a hold of them, that will be down in here in this section too. So if I was in class with someone, I would pick a student and we would go through and do this for them. But since I'm sitting in my master bedroom by myself, I will be the hypothetical student for you guys today. But again, if you have questions, you're always welcome to message me or, of course, comment here on Facebook, and I'll make sure to grab them as I can to take you through this. So there's actually, people always are looking for some magic new way to prospect and get business. And really there's only a couple ways to prospect and get business. You're not going to find some new secret way of doing that. One of the ways is obviously working our database. Your database is defined as your past clients and your sphere, right? So working your past clients and your sphere is a lead source and a lead pillar. How many hours a week should you spend nurturing your database and working with it? Sometimes an agent will tell me, I'm going to do 5, and I'll be like, whoa, hold on. Okay, so if you spend 5 hours a week, right? So on average, 20 hours a month, you are going to blow through your sphere, and you will not be able to maintain that throughout the entire year. Because, I mean, let's just be real. Think about your insurance agent. Think about your maybe the guy that manages my 401k. I really like him, but I don't want to hear from him every other week or even every month, like literally, right? But quarterly sounds awesome, right? Like, a meaningful touch quarterly by the phone, then yeah, I could totally see that. So that's one of the caveats I want to put out there is you do not want to overwork your sphere. You want to stay top of mind. There's a different class that I teach. I think it's coming up maybe 2 or 3 classes from now. I'm going to be teaching about working with your database and your sphere and how not to overwork them and to come off as like super salesy. So I'm going to put down 2 hours because that is sustainable. You should be able to call and text through your entire database in a quarter without oversaturating or overworking that lead pillar where people start dodging you because they know you're just going to hit them up for business. So now when you're calling your past clients in your sphere, typically these are longer conversations. And so you're not going to have as many conversations or contacts per hour. You're typically going to get around 4 because again, they're longer conversations. So that means in an hour, I might call 6 to 8 people and engage with 4 people because again, longer conversations. So you're going to get around, 8 conversations on average per week through this lead pillar. Now, that I consider lead generation. You are working that as a lead pillar. You're calling them, you're staying top of mind, you're engaging with them. And that's awesome. So outside of outside of your database, you've got open houses, you've got door knocking, circle prospecting, you might have for sale by owner or expired, right? Like there's not a lot of secret ways to lead generate. I'll maybe swap out door knocking for agent to agent. I'm not in charge of your business. You're in charge of your business. I'm not going to force you to call expired listings if you don't want to call expired listings. I'm just going to list some of these ideas. You have to decide, what are you willing to do? I will tell you, this exercise will open your mind to what it actually takes to be able to make $100,000 in real estate, right? To bring that home. Open houses, I love them because it's a fantastic way you can incorporate door knocking with your open houses and be able to have a better reach. My philosophy on open houses is that it would be better for me to sit in an open house that no one shows up to and make my calls and, kind of work on my business than to sit in my office and have zero opportunity of meeting someone new. Open houses put you in front of people, and especially when you combine that with just, door knocking around the neighbors, then you have an opportunity to meet people you didn't know. So if you did, let's say, one open house a month, and it was like a 4-hour open house, I'll just put that, 4 hours of an open house per week. Actually, I guess that's 1 hour a week on average, because you're going to be doing one a month. And in an open house, sometimes, we've had as many as 150 groups through an open house, and I've also sat in an open house with no one through it. So I like to be really, realistic, and you're probably going to talk to about 2 people per hour, right? Which would be somewhere between 8 and 10 people per open house. This is averaging it over a week, so 1 open house per month. You may have to do more. That may not be enough, right? You may have to do 2 open houses a month, and that would increase your total number of conversations per month and per week. Now, agent to agent, one of my favorite tools. So I'll come over here. I've shown this to many people who know me in howmoneywalks.com. This is a fantastic place to start that is not too analytical for you to find out, where people are. So let's just come over here to explore the data. So basically what this website does is it tells you where people are moving to and where people are moving from, right? So I can pick, let's say that I am, working in Savannah, right? So let's just pick that county right there. So I'm working in Savannah, and I click on that. If I live in Savannah, okay, and this is the county that I work, I come over here and it says, okay, where are people moving from? Well, they're moving from Fairfield County, Connecticut. They're moving from Cook County, that's the Chicago area. They're moving from Fairfax, Virginia. They're moving from New York, and they're moving from Liberty County, Georgia. And then where are they moving to? Like, where are people moving to? These are the places that they're moving to. The reason that this is helpful is because, again, I can then make strategic partnerships with other agents in those areas, right? So let's head over to, Oregon, the Portland area, right? So if I'm over here, I can come up here and say, okay, well, where's everybody moving from? Okay, they're moving from some of the other counties in Oregon, right? But we also have a big group of people moving from Los Angeles and from King County, which I believe King County is just above, right? So we see a lot of interstate, probably having to do with this whole new work from home opportunity. We're seeing that. And then where are they moving to? Well, that's my county right there. Maricopa County is where we see, like, if you just click on a lot of these coastal, you'll see that we've got a lot of Los Angeles is moving up from the south up north, right? So check that out. We've got all these people moving from California up into Oregon. And this is, if you know, this is a county that you work, you want to make sure that you are strategically meeting agents in those areas. So one of the big places in a lot of California is moving to Arizona. So I come in here and let's just start with San Diego, right? So people are moving to San Diego from LA County, from Orange County, from Santa Clara County, from Chicago, and from San Bernardino County, right? So they're moving from around into San Diego. Where is San Diego moving to? Well, some of them are moving out to other counties, right? Riverside, not too far. But then they've got Clark County, so they're moving to, you know, the Las Vegas area. They're moving to the Phoenix area. They're moving to Flagstaff area. I don't have any idea where Travis County, Texas is. So if I were in San Diego as an agent, I would make sure to be looking for agents in some of these other areas so that I could be strategically creating partnerships. And then I would also make sure that I have strategic partnerships of where people are coming from. So let's just, I know we've got a lot of Maricopa County agents on here today. So let's go ahead and drop into Arizona and let's drop into Maricopa County. So where are we getting people from? No surprise, Los Angeles. No surprise, right? The Chicago area. No surprise, good old Orange County. Pima, not surprised either, right? And I have no idea where that is, but welcome to Arizona. Need to make some partnerships over there. And then where are they going to? Pinal County, that makes a ton of sense, right? Because Pinal County is going to have a lot more affordable housing. So going from Maricopa County to Pinal, or even to Yavapai or Gila. So that's interesting. We're actually not losing people to other states. We're just moving around the county or the state to different counties. And then Travis County, Texas, again, I don't know where that's at, but that's pretty awesome. So hopefully you guys find that useful. Give me a thumbs up if you guys are going to go into how many walks and start to strategically find agents that you can work with. I think it's worth it. I think you should do it. And I'm going to highly recommend that you check out that website and you guys are doing that. So what that means to you is, find my right tool here. What that means to you is I'm going to spend, 1 hour a week working this lead pillar, right? I'm going to spend 1 hour a week trying to find agents that I can refer business to and that would refer business to me. And I'm probably going to talk to about 4 people per hour, right? Which is going to be 4 other. Now I need to decide, because right now I'm only spending, and even though this says 2 hours, that's 2 open houses a month. I'm really only spending 3 hours right now lead generating for business. So I've got to decide, do I want to go, circle prospect, right? Call into a neighborhood. Do I want to work for sell by owners, cancels, expired? I've got to decide, what am I willing to do to get new business? Now, after lead generation, we talk about lead follow-up, right? So for the vast majority, right? Tammy, I think you should probably be doing 3 to 4 hours of lead follow-up each week, right? Dan, with your business that you've got going on, same thing. You should probably be around 3 to 4 hours of lead follow-up a week. And same thing for Michelle. Michelle has such a large database. She could probably be following up at least 1 hour a week to really dial that in. Now, if you're behind, meaning you haven't called a lot of these people in your CRM for a long time, you probably are overwhelmed. And what happens when people get overwhelmed? Yeah, they just stop doing what they need to do. So for the vast majority of agents, you're going to be probably 3+ hours of lead follow-up each week. That means in your CRM, right, wherever you track people, you are going to be following up, texting, calling, emailing, making sure that you reach out to people with value. And this is different than your database and your past clients, because that's up there. This is basically, if you got an internet lead, you're following up with them. If you got a lead from your farm, you're following up with them. If you met somebody at the open house, you're following up with them. If you got a referral, you're following up with them. So I'm going to put 3 hours at a minimum a week for lead follow-up. And lead follow-up is funny because it depends on the types of leads that you're working. But most internet leads, they don't pick up when you call them, right? Like, you've got to really just keep calling and calling and calling and to get through. So you're probably only going to talk to maybe 4 to 5 people in an hour. I'll put 5, but yeah, probably 4 to 5 people in an hour, but you're going to make 20 calls. So where you're in your database, you make 6 calls and talk to 4 people. When you're doing lead follow-up, you're probably going to make 20 calls and talk to 5 people. It's just how it works with lead follow-up. So let's just look at what we have so far, okay? So far, I've got 31 conversations a week. 8 of them are coming from my past clients in my sphere that I'm nurturing and staying top of mind. And then I've got, open house ones that I'm going to be, having each week, around 16 a month, and agent to agent 4 a week, and 15 conversations coming from my lead follow-up. Let's put this into what this looks like basically in a week. So you're going to pop in your average sales price, right? So 460,000 is our current sales price. This number is calculated automatically based on how many weeks are left in the year. So how many weeks do we have left in 2021? So we have 17 weeks and 1 day left. 17 weeks and 1 day. So you got to say, like, am I really going to work 17 weeks? I bet you you're not. You're probably going to work probably 16 or 15. I'm going to put 15 because I know that I'm not going to be working 17 weeks. I have a couple vacations planned and some family time in the, September, October, November, or the October, November, December months. Here's why it's a good thing that, those of you who are on the class, here's a good reason why you stay in business. Most agents check out this time of year, okay? Don't check out. Hey, don't check out. You can pick up business. Typically, December is one of our busiest months because we just don't stop working. So for me, I know that I'm going to have about 15 weeks left in 2021. So 15 times 31 gives me 527 conversations that I will be having by strategically working throughout the rest of the year. So, and I already know I'm going to be spending 2 hours on my database. I'm going to be doing 2 open houses a month and 1 hour a week plus 3 hours of follow-up. Like, this is, that's not very much, to be perfectly honest, right? We're talking 6 hours a week. And on the weeks that I'm doing an open house, it's 10 hours, right? So somewhere between 6 and 10 hours of lead generation and lead follow-up. Now, of course, you've got escrow management and showings and different things like that. We're just talking about the things that you do to build your business. So here is the next number we need to plug in. We need to figure out how many conversations per closing. So Dan, if he's still on, I know his business is primarily referral based. If you're only working one lead pillar really strong, and that's referrals, your number of conversations per closing is going to be lower. You're probably going to be in the 20s, okay? But I will tell you that if you add in open houses, if you add in expireds, if you add in online leads, that number goes up, right? So it makes sense that if I refer Dan somebody and then that person knows that I'm referring Dan, I've got the deal. Either they buy or they don't buy. Either they list with me or they don't. It's very rare for you to lose the referral, right? So that's why your conversations per closing is less when you're working with referrals. And that's why people like referrals too, right? Like from our sphere and things like that. One, I don't have to pay a referral fee, right? Those kind of things. Now, agent to agent, it might be a little bit more competitive, right? So from an agent to agent standpoint, I don't typically refer a lead to multiple agents, but I might not be the only person working with that person. So just know that outside of your sphere and your database, your number goes up. And it also depends on your skill set. As a brand new agent, if you're a brand new agent, you probably need to have over 100 conversations per closing, just because you don't know what you're doing. Not because of, it's just that you don't know what you're doing and you don't have the skills yet. So for me, based on what I see here, I've got sphere and I've got open houses. So that's face to face. That's going to put me at a higher, a higher conversion rate. Agent to agent is going to lower my conversion rate a little bit. If I had expireds in here, you're going to have to talk to, 20, 30 expireds to get an appointment. If you've never called expireds, you might have to call 40 people to get an appointment, right? So again, that's what you got to factor in. The lead sources are going to depend. And then we already talked about follow-up. If I'm working with online leads, now Zillow Flex, we're Zillow Flex partners. And we're at a 10% conversion rate on Zillow Flex. And we're setting 7 out of 10, like every 10 people we talk to, we're setting 7 appointments. Of those 7 appointments, 60% of those are actually happening. And then we're writing offers with 2 of those people. So you know what I mean? It totally depends on the lead source. So for today's purposes, though, I'm going to pretend that I'm a brand new agent. And I'm just going to put my conversion at 100, right? So I've got to talk to 100 people, and I'm going to, I'm going to get a deal. So based on my 6 hours a week for the next 15 weeks, I would close 5 deals for a sales volume of 2.4 and of an average commission of 2.5, right? That's $11,000 because my average price point is $460. So I'm going to make around $60,000 between now and the end of the year. It's pretty easy. That's 6 hours a week, guys, of actual lead generation and lead follow-up. This stuff isn't hard. It really isn't hard. It just takes execution. Now, let's say, though, that my average price point was only $225, right? Well, now that's a very different story. So there's only a couple things that you can do to change this GCI number, right? The first one is I can work more. I can put more hours in, right? Let's say I decide that I'm going to call expireds 4 times a week. And I know that in an hour calling expireds, I can talk to probably 3 people, right? And now I just increased from 5 to 7. That's awesome. I just got 2 more deals by adding 4 hours a week. The other way that you can change this is by changing your price point, right? So let's say that I can't work more hours, but I can focus on a higher price point. We already saw what going up to 400,000. But I will tell you that it's hard to control your price point. Like that's not something, I can't control what kind of deals I get referred by other agents. I can't control what kind of deals my database refers me to. So that one's pretty hard. The other thing, though, the third thing that you could do to increase the amount of money you make is just to get better at converting the deals and the people that you do talk to, right? So what that means is that if I can master some scripts and some skills and really focus in and hone in on becoming the best agent possible, if I just shave off, 10 people, right? So go from 100 to 90 people per closing. Wow. I just sold 1 more home, but I didn't increase the amount of hours that I worked. I hope that resonates with you guys. Like when people ask me, should I spend time, memorizing scripts and things like that? Well, let me ask you, do you want to increase the amount of hours that you work? Or would you like to work the same amount of hours and sell more homes, right? And then let's say that I really focus on it and I go from 100 to 80, that's 2 sales, right? I just sold 2 more homes and I didn't have to increase the amount of time that I worked. So Tanya's asking if I have any scripts that I recommend. Tanya, what's your primary source of lead generation? Like, where do you get a lot of your business from? Scripts, there are so many different scripts out there. I mean, there's like, if just Google that, it's crazy. My philosophy on scripts, as I'm waiting for Tanya to answer her primary lead source before I give her a recommendation, I recommend that you all memorize some scripts so that you have options. Scripts are like your map. They're your guide to knowing what to say. So Tanya says OpCity, Realtor.com. Okay, so basically online lead. Okay, so she's talking an online lead. So I like this, how interactive you guys are today. I'm going to go off off script again to show you some scripts. So just going to find some scripts right here. Okay. So a couple of things that that I recommend for online leads. This actually is for all types of leads. So if you've ever heard the acronym LP Mama, we've got LP Mammal, because one of my awesome friends, she told me about adding the L on the end, and I was like, that's genius, and I'll tell you why. So LP Mama is actually one of my favorite scripts. And in all fairness, Tanya, it's not so much as a script as it is a guide to asking questions. My belief is that you memorize scripts so that you can use them as a roadmap, not to sound like a robot, but so that you can get to where you need to go. There's a million different ways for us to get to, you know, to a destination, right? Surface streets, highways, freeways. It doesn't matter how you get there. It depends on how fast you want to get there, and there's always a better route. So LP Mama is an acronym that stands for location, price, motivation, agent, mortgage, appointment, and the last one that we use is listing, if they have a listing that they want to sell. So shoot me a message, Tanya, or actually, yeah, just shoot me a message and I can share some of the scripts that we use with our team as a starting point for you. But if you can master LP Mama, you will be able to talk to anybody. That's an online lead, it's an open house lead, it's a referral, it doesn't matter. And it's all question-based, right? So let's say that I get a Realtor.com lead that's coming in, or an OpCity lead that's coming in, and they inquired about the property on. I just got this morning. I had a lead come in, and they were inquiring about this property on Raven Drive. This is the link that they sent me. They're shopping on Redfin, right? So the first thing that I would do is I'd call up and I'd say, hey, Tanya, I understand that you're interested in the property on Raven Drive in Queen Creek. When would you like to see it? Right? And I'm immediately going to go for the appointment, because if they're inquiring about a specific property, I'm going to ask them, when would you like to see it? Right? And so Tanya says, hey, can I see it tonight at 4 o'clock? Well, you know what, Tanya, I do need to get that approved with the seller. So why don't we go ahead and do this? I'm going to put you down for tonight at 4 o'clock, and I'm going to get that approved by the seller. Now, were there any other homes online that you saw that you're interested in? Okay, so what I'm going for is location, right? So I know that she likes this property on Raven Street. Chances are, if you have seen one property online that you like, you've seen several others. So I'm immediately going to ask, were there any other homes that you'd like to see? Most of the time, they'll tell you. They'll just say, oh, yeah, well, there's actually this one over here and this one over here. They think that we're the listing agent, and that's okay. You may not agree with me. Oh, well, I'm the teacher. They think that you're the listing agent. You do not want to tell them that you're not the listing agent. It is not in their best interest to work with a listing agent. You and I know that, right? That dual agency is not in their best interest. So I'm not going to point out that I'm not the listing agent. I'm just going to say, hey, I need to get that approved through the seller. But I'm going to set the appointment anyways. And then they're going to tell me, you know, what other homes there are. Then I'm probably going to say, well, you know, I noticed that this home is in Queen Creek. What areas are you looking in? Right? I'm going to ask location. The most important thing that I can get from Tanya as this online lead right now is price point and location, price point and location. So I'm going to ask about, the location. Are there any school districts that you guys are looking into? This is in the Emperor States. Are you looking in other communities around the Queen Creek Marketplace? Talk to me about, where you guys work. Like, what's the commute going to look like for you guys, right? I am going to go all in asking open-ended questions on location. Then I'll move to price point. I'll say, this home's listed at $699,000, which, by the way, guys, that's just freaking bananas. If this home sells for that, it also backs up to the railroad tracks and power lines. That'll be incredible. But that's neither here nor there. I got distracted. So, I'm going to say, this home's listed at $699,000. What's a price point that you guys are looking to stay in, right? So I'm going to drill down on price point. I'm also going to test their financial literacy a little bit. And I'm going to say, what's a monthly payment that you would be comfortable with, right? Like, what's a monthly payment that you guys would be comfortable with? If they're looking at a $699,000 home and they tell me $1,200 a month, I know we've got a problem, right? So price point motivation is all about the type of home they're looking for and their time frame, right? So that's where I'm really trying to dial down. Like, when's the soonest you see you and your family moving into this home, right? You need 4 bedrooms with 3 bedrooms and a den work. I'm going to be asking a lot of questions about the type of property. This is another thing for me. I do not ask them if they're working with an agent because they will literally just say yes, right? You guys have all done this. You've all walked into a store knowing that you're going to buy something. Someone says, "Hey, can I help you?" And you're like, "No, I'm just looking." We have all done this. So don't say, "Hey, are you working with an agent?" Because then they're going to say, "Yes, I am." And you just lost that opportunity. So I'm just going to say, Tanya, how have you been looking at homes so far? Right? I just want to know, are they looking online? Are they driving around? Are they going to open houses? Right? Like, these are just, the things that that I want to know, because I'm trying to gauge if we're going to be a good match for each other as a client, right? And then, of course, if they are looking online, I'm going to talk about that. And then, of course, mortgage. I do want to know, if they have had a chance to speak with a home loan specialist, right, for a home loan review. I want to know a little bit more about their financing. Now, I will tell Tanya, with Op City leads, I am willing to show anybody one home before I absolutely will make them get pre-qualified. I may get a lot of hate mail for this, but that's a different case when you're working with Zillow Flex, Op City, Ojo leads, any type of online lead. I want to get in front of them. I want to get face to face, and I want to, I want to get face to face and build rapport before I bring down the hammer of, we're not seeing any more homes until you're pre-qualified. So that's my philosophy. It works, I will tell you. But there are a lot of agents that won't show homes until someone's pre-qualified. So I'll leave that up to you, how you want to do that. And then, of course, I'm going to go for the appointment. And I am going to ask for the appointment more than one time. They're going to shoot you down a lot of times. Unless they are really bottom of the funnel, ready to buy. They're just gonna say, "Oh no, I don't want to inconvenience you. It's just such a hassle," right? Like, or they could be out of state. That happens a lot of times. And so I'll offer to do a video tour for them. We sell so many homes to out of state buyers that have never seen the home. And we just are using our iPhones, guys, right? We're using our phones and we're selling homes using video and just, of course, providing great value. So I'm going to ask for the appointment at least 3 times. If they're more than 6 months out, I'm going to go for a buyer's consultation, right? If they're, if I can get them in person and strategically. I was talking to someone this morning, and let's put it this way, guys. If you're going to have surgery, okay? Well, and let's face it, having surgery is a big deal. If you're going to have surgery, would it be ridiculous to meet with the surgeon ahead of time before you go under the knife? Right? Absolutely not, right? Like it's perfectly normal. Buying a house, and in our market, you're going to be spending probably over if you're going to spend $500,000, would it be ridiculous to meet with an agent to strategically plan how that's going to happen? Of course not, right? Like, I mean, seriously, buyer consultations help them understand, right? If you're going to court, would it be ridiculous to have a meeting with your lawyer to prepare for that court hearing? No, it is not ridiculous for you guys to sit down with the buyer and have a strategic planning session about what it takes to purchase a home in this market, right? And in that buyer's consultation is when you get to the brass tacks of how to prepare to write an offer, all of the financing, what it looks like. You know, if they tell you they're looking for a 4-bedroom single level home with a pool and 3-car garage and they only have $300,000, right? Like, well, that's not going to happen here in the Phoenix metro area. It's not going to happen in Casa Grande. It's not even going to happen in Arizona City, right? Like, you're going to have to move to Kentucky. It's right. Like, it's not going to happen here. And I'm not trying to be mean. This is why we have a consultation to do expectations. Okay. You guys are so awesome. We went way off, but I appreciate the questions and I wanted to make sure that we address that. So that's my philosophy on scripts. And that's how you go from selling 5 homes, right? So 100 conversations and selling 5 homes to selling 7 homes and shaving down the amount of conversations that you have and without having to work harder. So Dan says, that's a great way to show your value right off the bat. Really good point. We have to remind them how big of a deal buying or selling a home is and work hard to give them that service. Yes. Right. Like, I would be concerned if my doctor didn't want to meet with me before surgery. Like, I would be like, what the heck? You know, if my lawyer's like, yeah, I'll just see you in court. No, thank you. I need someone that's going to represent me. So Summer asked, are you going to share these scripts? Yes, I will post these scripts in the Resilient Realtor Facebook group. And guys, I'm not going to take credit for all of these scripts. Some of them we've kind of crafted our own, and some of them I've just taken from other amazing agents. When I role play with agents, I take what they give me and I craft it and I turn to my own. At the end of the day, it's all about having a meaningful conversation. It's not to sound like a robot. It's to have a meaningful conversation and build lifelong relationships with these people. We are in a relationship business. So so your homework with this is that you've got to go through and decide, what am I willing to do, right? Like, how many hours am I going to spend lead generating and lead follow up, right? And then that's going to produce your income. And if you don't like the number down here, then you have to be very honest with yourself and figure out what you're going to do about it, right? Because this is your energy and your effort. And if you have questions about how many conversations per hour, shoot me a message and I'll give you some ideas around that. So we're back into this. So after you fill out the interactive spreadsheet, the next thing that you need to do is you need to actually put this into your calendar, because if you don't put it into your calendar, it's never going to happen. So based on what I put in there, I said, okay, I need to do 2 hours of database. So I've got to say, okay, when am I going to do that? Right? So I'm going to grab my little database and say, you know what? I like to do my database calls on Friday, and that's only 1 hour. I've got to do another hour. I'm going to do that on Tuesday, right? So, okay. I did put an open house in here. You've got to decide if you're going to do that on Sunday, Saturday, Friday. Hey, you could do mini open houses, during high traffic times. I've seen lots of agents do that. It also works really well. We'll talk about that in the open house class. In my last one, I said I was going to do, I said, hey, you know what? I'll do a couple hours of expireds. The point is, you've got to put all of this into your schedule. HOP stands for hour of power. That's where I call my leads and follow up with my leads. I recommend, when you're stacking your calendar, that you do a lot of your calls and your, that stuff in the morning, and then you pad your afternoons for appointments. And if you don't have appointments in the afternoon, you can do a lot of different things that are still productive, right? Like you can have another call session, right? You can lead generate more, or we can work on projects. That's something that I didn't put in here. The moral of this slide is that you need to make sure that you take that spreadsheet and the hours that you allotted to, you've got to put it into a calendar, right? And you've got to, if your daughter has softball practice every Tuesday from, 3 to 6, then you're got to block that out, right? Because that's a very real thing. I do teach a class on time management and time blocking, so you can make sure to check that one out. But if it doesn't go in your calendar, then it's not going to happen. And that's a really important part. After you have decided on your lead sources, right? So if you're cold calling, door knocking, open housing, it goes into your schedule. Now you've got to actually build out what you're going to do with, and these are going to all be found in the resources. You've got to figure out what it is that you're going to do. So like, for instance, here's a lead source of a geographic farm. In your geographic farm, you can door knock, you can door drop, you can open house, you can circle prospect. Like that's all right here. So the prospecting plan for this lead pillar is calling for self-owners and expired, circle dialing, which is like basically just listed, just sold, open houses, calling into a neighborhood, and then door knocking and dialing. And that's going to all be done weekly. The follow-up plan is obviously just every time you get a lead, they go in your CRM, and you're going to put them on an email campaign. You're going to put them on a call campaign, right? But let's look at the marketing plan for this geographic farm. In this example, they're doing an email newsletter. They're doing a Google display network. They're doing some sort of probably of every door direct mail postage campaign. They're posting on social media. They've got some paid advertising on social media. Maybe they're doing some signage or a billboard. They're doing YouTube in-stream ads, maybe, right? Like you got to pick what you're going to do. That's the marketing plan. Then there's the networking plan, right? What are you going to be doing from a networking standpoint? Are you part of any Facebook groups, PTA, PTO, HOA groups, all of that. So for every lead pillar that you've identified, you've also got to have a full-blown plan. And when we put together plans like this, of course, it results in things that we have to do. So you break them down by quarter and you say, okay, so I want to launch my geographic farm. What do I need to do? Well, first I need to determine my farm. Okay, when am I going to do that by? I'm going to do that this week. On a scale of 1 to 5, what's the most important priority? Well, I can't get started on any of this until I identify, the farm. So that's a 5. But then I've got to determine the budget. I've got to schedule my postcards, got to have a design meeting, probably got to map out my social media, got to get a call list for my farm, right? So the quarterly projects become, what are we going to do? Maybe you're going to be doing a fundraiser in your farm, right? And when is that going to happen by? So you can see how it all flows together to create more activities. So the most important thing, though, I will say, if you take anything from this class, what I want you to know is you have to stay in massive action. Setting the goal is the easiest part of the whole process. The most important part is staying in massive action, putting in the work. I was listening to a podcast the other day, and it was so fascinating. It was, Andy Frisella, he's got a great podcast, and he was talking about all of the greats, right? They like have this motivation and desire, then they have the discipline to do what they need to do, but then it gets boring, but you still execute. And I think that's an important part of real estate, is that a lot of times we get sick of doing the same things over and over again, right? The transactions are different, but how we get to the transactions the same. I LP Walnut every single client. You know what I mean? Every single client I have met through one of my boring lead sources and lead pillars. I've done lots of boring open houses, but it only takes one open house to meet a client that can change the trajectory of my career, that becomes a lifelong client, and now I've transacted with them 8 to 10 times. You know what I mean? That absolutely can happen, but you have to put yourself in massive action, and you have to stay in action. Don't take off fourth quarter because it's easy, right? This is where you can gain market share. So to end the class, we started with, if you jumped in late, I had you write down what's been working in your business and what's not been working. Now you have to decide, what do I need to start doing, right? What are the activities? What are the marketing? What are the habits, right? Been like winging it. What do I need to start doing so that I can reach my full potential and not check out in fourth quarter? And then you have to have a hard conversation with yourself and say, okay, what do I need to stop doing, right? Like, do I need to stop staying up late listening to true crime podcasts? I mean, that's definitely not me. I'm just saying. It's my guilty pleasure, guys. I love true crime podcasts. If you like true crime, let me know, and we can share our favorite podcast, and maybe you can introduce me to a new one. So anyways, what do I need to stop doing, right? And that could be habits, right? So maybe a habit is I need to wake up earlier because I want to spend that early morning, doing some of the things that will set me up to be able to make my calls. Yes, asking for a friend. But what do I need to stop doing? Do I need to stop, showing homes to unpre-qualified buyers who don't have a buyer broker with me? Do I need to stop, not doing buyer consultations because if you've never shown homes to somebody that bought a house with somebody else, it sucks. It hurts, right? Like, we put in all that energy and effort. So we need to make sure that we've got dialed in process. Do I need to stop spending money on stupid shit? Yes. Stop wasting money on shiny objects that you think are going to get you your next escrow. The only thing that's going to get you your next escrow is you having the discipline to make your calls. That's going to get you there, right? Lead generation and lead follow-up. Real estate is a numbers game, as I've shown you through that spreadsheet. It's just a numbers game. So keep your numbers up, right? I always end my classes with this quote because I truly, truly believe it. We go to classes, we go to seminars, and we get all excited, we get all motivated, right? And then we go back and we don't do anything with that information. Or we hit some resistance, right? Like, oh, I got rejected. I called expireds one time and they were all so mean to me. So I just don't think expireds work, right? If you really want to do something, guys, you're going to find a way. Like, think about a time in your life that you really wanted something. No matter what, you did what you needed to do and you found a way. You also know people who find excuses to not do the things that they want to do because they got hard, right? You'll find a way. Don't be one of the numbers of the people that drop out of real estate in the first 2 years because it's hard. We know that it's hard. So I will post these scripts that I shared with you guys today, the LP Mama scripts, to the Resilient Realtor Facebook group. If you know another agent that you feel could utilize this content, please send them our way. The instructors here at Resilient Realtor, we're all just real estate agents that want to give back to our community, want to help agents be the best version of themselves that they can be. I truly appreciate you guys stopping into class today, especially because I didn't feel good. You guys made this class awesome by participating, and I appreciate you guys for being here and participating. Go sell some houses. Have an amazing week, and if you ever need anything, don't hesitate to just reach out through Messenger, and I will do the best I can to answer your questions and encourage you. Have a great weekend.